History of the USA. Amazing events from the amazing journey of Christopher Columbus to modern natural disasters in the free land. These events took place with shocking force, in which the colonizers became the first aggressors and the natives of the continent became the first victims. This was followed by a long period of slavery, but then terrorist acts, contract killings, and natural disasters came to replace. However, even so many years after one of the most tragic events in U.S. history, rumors and mysteries continue to accompany the question of who really killed John F. Kennedy. Today we dive into the details to share with you all the relevant data from the investigation and honestly reveal what really happened. Get ready for a real immersion in history. Make yourself comfortable and let's get started. The 35th President of the United States, John F. Kennedy, was brutally assassinated in Dallas on November 22, 1963, while riding in a convertible with his wife, Jacqueline, and the governor of Texas, John Connally. According to the official version, the shots were fired by former Marine Lee Harvey Oswald, who was then killed. 2 days after the incident, and a week after Kennedy's assassination, Lyndon Johnson, who took office, set up a commission chaired by Chief Justice Errol Warren. Their report, published 10 months later in 1964, stated that Kennedy had been shot from the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository building. However, no evidence was provided of Oswald's involvement in any domestic or international conspiracy against Kennedy. Other government investigations also found no evidence that the CIA or other intelligence agencies were involved in the Kennedy assassination. However, why are there still so many conspiracy theories surrounding this assassination? According to the commission, Oswald, while on the 6th floor of the School Book Depository, fired 3 shots, one of which did not reach the target. This was confirmed by the presence of 3 shell casings at the place where, presumably, Oswald fired, and also by the fact that the bullets, according to the examination, were fired from the discovered Karkin M9138 carbine. According to the report, the bullet that hit Kennedy's back exited through the neck and wounded Governor Connally, coming from a sniper behind and to the right of Kennedy. The bullet could have passed through the president and wounded the governor, because at the time of the shot, Kennedy, welcoming the crowd, leaned to the edge of the limousine, and the governor's seat, located below the main seats and offset to the center, created additional space. Moreover, ballistics experts determined that the bullet that hit the governor had lost a significant amount of speed at the time of impact, which is most likely due to passing through the tissues of another person, since the design of the car was unusual for ordinary people who are used to seeing all the seats on one height and right next to each other. This conclusion was repeatedly criticized in the yellow press. The bullet's trajectory, described as zigzagging, seems incredible. Because of this, opponents of the official theory of the Kennedy assassination have the ironic term magic bullet. There may have been multiple shooters, which would explain the strange trajectory of the bullets fired by different people from different directions. This question is the key to the whole conspiracy, as no one knows the exact answer to it until now. Most conspiracy theories claim that Oswald was not the only shooter. The second shooter theory is closely related to the so-called magic bullet problem. Assuming that the same bullet could not hit Kennedy, change its trajectory, and injure Connally, then it is easy to explain the strange bullet trajectory by assuming that there were several shooters, one of whom belonged to the missing shot. Another argument is that more metal particles were found in the telecon than a single bullet could have left. However, this argument was refuted, since all the particles found could belong to the same pool. At a certain point, the experts generally reached a dead end, trying to find out from which side the shots that wounded the president came from. The first shot, according to Dallas doctors, was a throat wound with an exit in the back. This is indirectly confirmed by the absence of bullet particles in the throat and their presence on clothing in the back area. In addition, it is difficult to explain the wound channel, where the wound in the back is below the wound in the throat, if the shot was fired from behind from a great height. Based on this, the Soviet emigre writer Igor Efimov put forward the theory that not only the third, but also the first shot were fired from the front, and the wound in the throat was the entrance. Oswald fired only one shot from the Buckstaw building, the one that wounded Governor Connally. The president's official autopsy report interprets the first wound as the result of a shot from above from behind, with an entry wound in the back and an exit wound in the throat. In addition, it is this bullet that is considered the very magic bullet that inflicted all the wounds on Governor Connally. The third shot threw the president's head back sharply, which can also serve as indirect evidence that the bullet came from the front. It is known from known records of police radio communications that the county sheriff, in the first minutes after the shot, sent his officers to the railroad crossing and other high points that were in front of the president's car. The examination of the book depository building, where Oswald's rifle was found on the 6th floor, began later, 40 minutes after the shooting. Even then, the building had not yet been cordoned off. Witnesses who were in the path of the presidential motorcade at the time the shooting began gave conflicting statements about where exactly the shots had been fired from. The report of the U.S. House Committee on Assassinations cites the following data. 49 people heard shots from the direction of the book depository, 21 people from the direction of the grassy hill, and 4 people said that the shots were fired from 2 points. Richard Sprague, after analyzing all the photographs and video materials available to him from the scene, found signs of 6 shots from 3 different directions: a hedge on a grassy knoll, a colonnade from the 2nd floor of the Dallas, Texas building, and the 6th floor of the bookstore building from its western corner. Thus, 4 bullets hit Kennedy, and a 3rd shot wounded Connally. At the southern end of the colonnade, according to Sprague, there was another 4th shooter who did not fire a single shot. He strangely manipulated the umbrella. Sprague suggested that it was the conductor of the operation. According to him, the number of direct participants in the assassination attempt could reach 50 people. Many conspiracy theorists and historians associate the assassination attempt with various opponents of American power. For example, with the assassination of John F. Kennedy, the USSR is often mentioned. According to the disclosed documents, Lee Harvey Oswald visited Moscow in October 1959. He obtained a visa in Finland and then came on a student visa. In Moscow, he stayed at the Berlin Hotel and expressed his desire to stay in the USSR and obtain citizenship through his guide. However, the KGB officers had a long conversation with him, but refused to grant him citizenship. After that, Oswald returned to the hotel, where he tried to commit suicide and was admitted to the Botkin Hospital. On October 31, 1959, he announced at the U.S. Embassy in Moscow that he had renounced his American citizenship. In January 1960, Oswald received stateless documents and offers from the Soviet authorities to move to Minsk. He lived there for the next 2 years, working as a turner at a radio factory. In Minsk, he met and married Marina Prusakova. They had a daughter, June. However, Oswald already at the beginning of 1961 became disillusioned with the Soviet way of life. In his diary entries, he complained about the lack of entertainment and the opportunity to travel. In February of the same year, Oswald turned to the U.S. Embassy with a request to help him return to his homeland. And already on June 1, 1961, Oswald and his family returned to the United States. There is no direct evidence of the involvement of the KGB in the assassination of John F. Kennedy. For a long time, there was talk about the involvement of the Cuban government in these events. In the early 1960s, the CIA carried out operations to eliminate political figures abroad, including attempts to overthrow Fidel Castro. The report of the U.S. House Committee on Assassinations notes that even before the Kennedy assassination, since December 1960, the CIA had a dossier on Oswald. However, no evidence was found to support his connection to the CIA. Revenge for the Bay of Pigs failure could have been a motive for assassination, both for PSI-affiliated Cuban exiles and Cuban leaders. John F. Kennedy was not popular among them during that period. Later we will tell you more about the declassified documents related to the Kennedy assassination. One such document, dated July 1964, describes a plan to assassinate Cuban leaders. It was supposed to pay about $800,000 for the head of Fidel Castro. The price on his head was later reduced to 20 cents. The plans included dropping bounty leaflets for killing politicians and officials. After the assassination of Kennedy, the U.S. Secret Services did not stop working on assassination attempts on Fidel Castro. However, there was no response from the Cubans linking them to the assassination attempt on Kennedy. In December 2021, the U.S. released new data on the Kennedy assassination investigation. Numerous documents have been uncovered, including FBI reports of surveillance of major mafia figures, which are often cited in conspiracy theories. It also became known about strange calls and messages related to the murder. A law passed in 1992 provided for the publication of all documents on the Kennedy assassination within 25 years. However, the deadlines were repeatedly postponed, and some documents were never made public. Every year there is more and more evidence indicating that Oswald may not have been the only shooter. There is something more than what the official commission presented. However, we will know the truth only when all the data of the investigation are published.